والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So before we move forward and continue, hopefully we can finish the book this week, maybe next week. It may take a little more time. With regards to the request about speaking on the last 10 nights of the sacred month of Ramadan, I think that one of the ways, as we said in the khutbah earlier, we can look at the different levels: Ramadan, last 10, Ad, Laylatul Qadr, Eid, I'tikaf, like Russian dolls. Take one, it's a smaller one, then another, all the way down to the what? The tiniest of dolls. And then you put it back together and have a huge doll. So the virtues, that's first and foremost, Tawbah, Elbah, whether it is or isn't a synonym to Tawbah. فَإِنَّهُ كَانَ لِلْأَوَّابِينَ غَفُورًا. Tawbah and then Elbah, two different terms. Tazkiyatun nafs, purification of the soul. The Prophet ﷺ tells us that سَبْعَةٌ يُظِلُّهُمْ اللَّهُ فِي ظِلِّهِ يَوْمَ لَا ظِلَّ إِلَّا ظِلُّهُ. The 7 types of people that will receive the shade of Allah on the day in which there's no shade but that shade. From them he says, وَرَجُلٌ قَلْبُهُ مُعَلَّقٌ بِالْمَسَاجِدِ أو مُعَلَّقٌ فِي الْمَسَاجِدِ, is a man whose heart is attached to the masjid. A man whose heart is attached to the masjid. So when you make i'tikaf correctly and successfully, hopefully bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that's a manifestation of your heart being attached to the masjid. And if your heart isn't yet attached, then bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully that's a means of attaching it, of hitching it or latching it on. So there are many different ways of looking at the spirituality of the last 10 nights. Ramadan in general, finishing strong, finishing your deeds, khitamuhu misk, the seal being musk. Innama al-a'malu bil khawatim, deeds are only based off of their endings. Wal fajr wal layalin ashr wal shaf'i wal watr, right? The odd and the even. The last 10 nights of Ramadan versus the first 10 of Dhul Hijjah. Many different ways of looking at the virtues, the blessings, the gifts, the divine gifts of Allah that are contained within the last 10 nights. So that's the spiritual part of the discussion. And then we have, as we always say, the technical part of the discussion, the spirituality and the technicality. So when the last 10 nights are here, let me start preparing my Zakat al-Fitr. Let me get ready now. I should have been, but for argument's sake, who's going to get it? I'm not going to wait till the 28th, 29th day. Oh, I have to pay money. Or I have to send it overseas. Or this relief or that relief. Let me figure it out right now. Let me make the necessary arrangements right now. The logistical movements when? Right now. If I have to go to here or there, let me get the grain. Let me figure out how many people I'm responsible for. What is sa'an? What is a sa'? Pounds, troy ounces, etc. So that's a technical view. Also, Eid, the ruling of the Eid. Make sure I have off. Make sure my wife, my children have off, school, etc. How we're going to get there, what we're going to wear, all of that. Plan it out. If you're paying your zakat in Ramadan, prepare your zakat money. Who you want to give it to? Your envelope or your envelope. I'tikaf. How do I make i'tikaf? What's the rule on making i'tikaf? What's the way of making i'tikaf? Is it lawful for me to be in the masjid making i'tikaf and then I leave to take a shower? Can you go home and take a shower? Is that lawful? Does that break your i'tikaf? Is taking a shower a necessity if you're not junub? Can a menstruating woman come in the masjid and make i'tikaf on a period? Can you make i'tikaf for a half of the day, a third of the day? Can you make i'tikaf on your lunch break, 30 minutes, 45 minutes? No? Are you allowed to have your phone with you in i'tikaf? Can you text people? Can you order something while you're, or does that break it? Etc. So the fiqh of i'tikaf. When does the Muslim leave his place of i'tikaf? Very important question, which many people get wrong. Do you leave i'tikaf at night when Ramadan is over? Or do you leave i'tikaf in the morning of Eid? And if you're leaving in the morning of Eid, when do you have time to slice and dice it up and then put on your finery or fineries? That's the discussion. The fiqh of the last 10 nights. Laylatul Qadr, do we know when it is specifically? Do you have to stand in prayer the entire night? What's meant by man qama? He who stands. What is the minimum? What's the least that a person can do to catch Laylatul Qadr? So in all aspects, Hajj, Umrah, Ramadan, marriage, all aspects, you're always going to find a 1-2 punch. Spirituality and technicality. Technicality and spirituality. Learning these technical things and being void of the spiritual essence is, what's the purpose? Having so much spiritual essence, but not knowing the actual sunnah, correct ways, the fiqh. And this is why Allah Azza wa Jalla, He tells us in the Quran al-Kareem, وَجُوهٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ خَاشِعَةٌ. Faces on that day will be humiliated, downcast. عَامِلَةٌ نَاصِبَةٌ. عَامِلَةٌ كَانَتْ تَعْمَلُ. Exhausted and worn out. Exhausted and worn out. Meaning they did deeds, but those deeds were either lacking sincerity with sunnah, lacking sunnah with sincerity, lacking sunnah and sincerity. So, yani Allah musta'an, some years ago, I tried to, I came up with this. I don't think no one has coined the term before. And obviously it's in light of, or in the spirit of, Shaykh al-Albani, rahimahullah ta'ala's 1-2 punch theory of tasfiyah and tarbiyah. Tasfiyah and tarbiyah. We have to purge the Muslims from incorrect things, bid'ah, innovations, weak fabricated hadiths, cultural practices that over 1400 years have found their way into the Islamic practice. We have to get rid of that. Tasfiyah. And as we've made or making tasfiyah, purging, we now have to do what? Tarbiyah. Now cultivate upon the haqq, upon the truth. And subhanAllah, not to open up a can of worms or even talking about it, but if you just look at many different du'ats and scholars as well. We're just talking about our country because there's no scholars in the West. Don't forget that. Until Yom al-Qiyamah. Don't ever forget that. They just magically changed from Brother Fulan to Sheikh Fulan. Al-Muhim, when I hear to bash nobody, inshallah, still sunlight. At the end of the day, many du'at who supposedly took the Albani legacy and believed in it and wanted to follow it, many of them, at best, they had a lot of tasfiyah. This is bid'ah, this is da'if, and no problem. But they were lacking on what? The tarbiyah. Okay, you demolished the house. Now what? And that's why if you study the history of war and you study the history of the different conquerors and khans and sultans, they'll all tell you, conquering is easy. Raising, building, maintaining, governing, that's what? That's the difficult part. So the tasfiyah cannot be absent from the tarbiyah. And the tarbiyah can't be absent as long as you got the what? The bogus batil stuff mixed in with it. So in light of that, it's not a copy or carbon copy, but in light of that, the concept studied, teach spirituality and technicality and boom, boom. And you find most groups, they're going to be lacking in what? One of the two. Extreme, nonchalant of what? One of the two. Or they have a warped understanding of one of the two. A warped understanding of what spirituality is and is not. And a warped understanding of technicality. Shafi'i, Hanbali, Fulan, Ibn Taymiyyah, so many sound bites with nothing solid, nothing wholesome, nothing formal, nothing structured. So just think about that, huh? With regards to the last 10 nights. And bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, the spirit of the last 10 nights is going to be contained in what Aisha radiallahu anha reported in Bukhari and Muslim. كان رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا دخل على العشر الأواخر من رمضان شد مئزره وأحيا ليله وأيقظ أهله. Whenever the last 10 nights will come, the Prophet ﷺ would do 3 things. Shadda mi'zarahu. He would fasten his izar. He would tie his lungi or his waistcloth. Or we would say, fasten your belt. Tie your belt buckle. Wa ahya laylahu. And he would stay up at night, meaning in salah, in dua, in teaching the Muslims, serving the Muslims, being there for the Muslims. Very interesting, or you'll find some of the Salaf would say, with regards to, it's a story that's mentioned in the books of Zuhd, that there was a man who was a righteous scholar of the Salaf al-Salih, and someone came to him and asked him for something. And if my poor memory serves me correctly, he had to leave the masjid or took him away from his ibadah in the masjid. One of the two, for sure. So somebody asked him, and like, what are you doing? Aren't you making itikaf? You're such and such worshiper, scholar, this beggar, blah, blah, blah. And he said, for me to help out my brother and to serve one of his needs is better than 100 nights in itikaf. And he may have mentioned a bigger number. He could have mentioned 1,000, like we said in the khutbah, 1,000. For me to do one favor for my Muslim brother is more virtuous than 100 nights of itikaf. So when you're making itikaf, that's not an excuse or a license to not to be there for your brother. I need $5, no problem. I need some advice, no problem. I have a question, no problem. I need guidance, no problem. Somebody's threatening my wife and my daughter, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a tough guy, you are a tough guy. Let's go. Show me where you live, no problem. Helping out the Muslims, being there for the people. Being there for the people. So, ahya laylahu. He would stay up at night, meaning doing those things. Qiyam, tilawa, dhikr, ta'lim, qada hawaj al-muslimin. That's what's meant by ahya laylahu. He would stay up at night. And last but not least, wa ayqadha ahlahu. And he would wake up his wives. He would wake them up. And as it states in another hadith, wake up the women. Sawahibat al-hujurat, yani wake up the women in the chambers. Wake them up. فَرُبَّ كَاسِيَةٍ فِي الدُّنْيَا عَارِيَةٌ فِي الْآخِرَةِ. Maybe a woman who is clothed now will be naked on the day of judgment. So the concept of, if you're about a lifestyle and you're truly about that lifestyle, it has to reflect in your wives or wife, whatever. We're speaking to plural people or man in a plural marriage. It has to show. And if you're truly about something and your wife is the exact opposite, then that shows that your frame is a little what? Fi shay. At best, let alone a gaping hole. Just look at all ways of life. People who are revolutionaries, rebels, whatever, they come looking, knocking on the door. Where is he? Where's his weapons? What did she tell him? She takes the stuff and does what? Hides it for them. Need me quote the street poetry? Do we have to go there or not, ya akhi? Inshallah. Maybe we have to sometimes. Of the type of woman, that's what? If you're this, then she has to be a what too? And if not, then she got to know how to what? In the discussion. They're different races, different people. This is the way of life. And it's not just the men. The men are made men and the women are what? They're raised from day one with the law of silence, omerta. Keep your mouth shut. I didn't see anything. Never talk to police, no matter what the situation. It's a holy, sacred thing to them. It's an aqidah. Go look it up. Sicilians, they have an aqidah that you must keep silent and you must never, ever cooperate with the authorities under any circumstance. And if you do, you have shamed yourself, your family, your ancestors. You're not a Sicilian. They didn't say Italian. We said what? Sicilian. It's a difference between the two. So the moral of the story is your lifestyle has to be reflective in what? And that's why the Prophet ﷺ did what? He woke up the women. Oh, she can sleep, she can sleep. La, I'm up, you up. Everyone understand the principle here? So, shadda min izarahu, he would fasten his izar, meaning he would stay away from sexual intercourse. It's one interpretation of the hadith. Shadda min izarahu, yani taraka al-jima' wa taraka al-nisa. And obviously, one of, if not the greatest distraction for men, whether you accept it or not, ya akhi. You can say, oh no, that's not true. Oh, your mind is in the gutter. Oh, you're lustful because you're from this race. You can say all of that stuff, but deep down inside, we know at the end of the day, one of the, if not the greatest distraction for men is women. The Prophet ﷺ, the Quran tells us, زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. That there are lusts, there are temptations and indulgences which are fair to men. And they're made fair to men. What's the first thing Allah mentions? Gold? Silver? No. Allah didn't mention the horses, the properties. The first thing Allah says, min an-nisa, women. So that's the Quranic proof. The prophetic proof, ma taraktu ba'di fitnatan hiya adarru ala rijali min an-nisa. I leave not a fitna more harmful upon men than women. Ma taraktu ba'di fitnatan. And he still was living, meaning sa'atruk. In the future, there's no fitna more harmful upon men than women. And then if we look at, inshallah, the brothers in the back, if they don't speak English, at least have enough respect. You don't have to respect me, but it's the Quran we're mentioning. Quran. They say Quran Kareem, Quran Sharif, right? Well, that's what this is. زُيِّنَ لِلنَّاسِ حُبُّ الشَّهَوَاتِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. That's what? That's Quran Sharif. So if we love Quran Sharif and we respect Quran Sharif, when it's recited, we should do what? We should listen, right? Not about the speaker. You don't have to. No problem. I don't like this guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's too young. He's from this race. No problem. But at least show respect to what? Quran Sharif. And Hadith Sharif as well. مَا تَرَكْتُ بَعْدِ فِتْنَةً هِيَ أَدَرُّ عَلَى الرِّجَالِ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ. That's what? Hadith Sharif. When you hear the Hadith Sharif, you should do what? Show respect as if the Prophet himself was saying it. And if you don't, and this is not just this masjid, many masjids. Brothers have seen it over the years. We can name names. You're giving a lecture, you're quoting, reciting, and it's a guy right there having a full-blown conversation. It's literally baffling. Full-blown, loud like it's nothing. Do you not hear the Quran being recited? In no respect whatsoever. I'm just going to keep talking. But then my sheikh or someone else comes in, oh Allah. That's not sincerity. But if it was true respect and reverence for Quran Sharif, then it would be shown when? With any sheikh. Your tariqah, your nationality, your Islamic orientation, your madhab, your accent, your dialect. So we need to be mindful, let alone, and it has nothing to do with me, but it's a reality, you're supposed to show respect to someone teaching in the masjid. And if you're uninterested in the class, that's totally fine. But at least what? At least the least you can do. The least you can do. Now, may Allah help us all. Moving forward. If you talk about science, what is one of the most prized things for a hunter to catch? In this country, not talking about wild game, but in America, what's one of the most prized trophies for a hunter is a what? Not a fish head. Fish, there's a lot of skill in fishing too, no doubt. The big fish. Okay, with the what? The antlers. The bigger the antlers, the longer the antlers, those tiers are points. A 10-point buck. Why do you rarely see a female's head on the wall, a doe? Why is it always the male deer? That's the prize. Anybody know? It's harder to catch the male. Why? Why is the male harder to catch than the female? When you drive on a highway, you may see it every now and then, but I guarantee you in most cases it's going to be a female deer. And there's nothing against women. Inshallah, it's not misogyny, inshallah. Just stating facts of biology. In most cases, it's a female deer. It's rare to see a male deer, let alone a big buck with huge antlers on the side of it. Very, very seldom. I'm sure brothers who drive trucks or travelers, they'll confirm this. Why is this the case? Maybe there's so many more women, the men are a minority. Maybe, but there's another reason. The male deer, whether it's a whitetail or other type of deer, the buck who has big, huge antlers is mature. Those antlers are grown, he's shedded, etc., etc. He's years. And the more mature the deer grows, the smarter it is. And the sharper its sense of hearing is, and most importantly, scent. This is why hunters, they put deer urine on their body. They mask their smell and their scent. The deer can smell you from miles away. Way before you see it, it has sniffed you out. It's a very intelligent animal. So how do you catch the buck? Well, of course, skills involved, talent, non-Muslim, you may say luck, patience. You're 20, 30 feet in the air in a tree, freezing cold. The tree is moving, being blown in the wind. Takes a lot of sabr to get the animal, but one of the ways that you catch the buck is you catch the buck in mating season. When he's full of testosterone. And 9 out of 10 of his thoughts is about mating and sowing his seed. I.e., the most vulnerable time for that smart, intelligent, witty, vigilant animal is when he's in the state of lust. And he lowers his guard. He becomes lazy and sloppy. He becomes reckless. He thinks about women, and then what? That's when the arrow or the bullet goes through his heart. So the moral of the story is, a man is strong, he's wise, he's patient. You put a woman in front of him, it's what? Whole different story. And some of the Salaf, they mention this in the tafsir of Allah's statement, وَخُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا. That man is made weak. إِنَّ الرَّجُلُ يَفْقِدُ عَقْلَهُ أَمَامَ الْمَرْأَةِ. That a man loses his mind in front of a woman. He loses his sense, his wits in front of a woman. It's the oldest trick in the book, the honey trap. Blackmailing him, assassinating him, getting the information, pillow talk, send him a beautiful woman. And that strong man will become weak as jelly. It's reality. So the concept of shadda mi'zarahu, he would fasten his izar, i.e., he would stay away from the distractions of women. And another interpretation, shadda mi'zarahu, yani shadda an sa'id al-jidd, shammar, is that he would roll up his sleeves, as we would say. Roll up his sleeves, it's time to get what? Down and dirty. Let's put in the work. It's no laughing, joking, last 10 nights, it's time to be what? Forthright. So this thing about those three things, fastening your izar, i.e., cutting yourself off from all of your normal distractions. Whether it's women, whether it's money, whether it's phone, whether it's social media, whether it's work, business, politics, anything which distracts you. وَأَحْيَا لَيْلَهُ, and he sacrificed his own comfort. And he sacrificed sleep. Sleep is nothing. Remember, Nafis, when we went to Guyana? The first night we were there, we did the class, and the brothers had questions and questions. The brother said, oh, won't you leave the sheikh alone? The sheikh's tired. He just came from New York. He needs the rest. What did the brother say? He said he can sleep when he's in the qabristan. Huh? He said he can rest when he's in the qabristan. So that's the proof I'm not making up the story, right? Qabristan or not? That's what he said. He said he can rest when he's there. I.e., the sheikh didn't come here to just rest and drink coconut, milk. He came here to work. So it's very important of avoiding laziness and lethargy. And last but not least, the last tier, the last part of the hadith, وَأَيْقَظَ الْأَهْلُ, as we explained, he woke up his family. You have to have the people in your circle that are, let's say, like, right? You got to keep the people around you that are what? You can't, you're not going to find a hawk with a chicken. You're not going to find a hawk with a sparrow. This animal lives by ripping flesh. And this animal lives off of what? Little small seeds and tiny worms. They're what? They're unequal. And vice versa. The chickadee or the parakeet, they're not going to hang out with a hawk. This mean-faced looking, flesh-eating bird has nothing to do with us. We sing. Robins, they sing. They have beautiful voices. Not this screeching eagle. Birds of a feather what? Flock together. So your household, you have to make sure that you have the same what? Feathers. Wallahu ta'ala alam. Jazakumullah khairan. That's what I want to share with regards to the request of our Sheikh, Imam Imtiaz. He personally requested me to speak on the last 10 nights. And if this wasn't the case, we would have moved forward with the book. How much time we got left, Nafis? 20 minutes? 20 minutes. What time is the event exactly?
7:09.
Can somebody fix the clock, please?
It's 6:48.
All right. Ty, are there any questions from online? Abu Muhammad. Salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Can you delay your Isha? Because you just want to pray, like, let's say you go home, you're tired, and you know you're going to wake up like 2 or 3 in the morning. Can you pray Isha then?
Question is, can you delay your Isha if you're tired and you know, you're pretty sure, you're confident that you want to get up later on? The answer is yes. You can. And as we know, it's the sunnah for Salat al-Isha to be delayed. And the Prophet ﷺ said, إِنَّهُ لَوَقْتُهَا لَوْلَا أَنْ أَشُقْ, that indeed it is the time if it wasn't a hardship. So if the jama'ah is praying at a time and you're there, you're in the masjid, you're in the vicinity of the masjid, you give precedence to the jama'ah. But if you're far from the masjid, you're not there, and you're going to get up, it's recommended to delay Salat al-Isha, let alone if you need to rest, you need a power nap, 2 birds, 1 stone. Measure twice, cut once. Wallahu a'lam. Wa iyyakum. Any other questions? Khairan, inshallah. Question is coming from, it says, watching from Eastbrook Avenue, Philadelphia, Sophia. Jazakallah khairan. May Allah bless all of the Muslims in the city of brotherly love. Ameen. Hometown. I didn't say it, she said it. Alhamdulillah. Philly special. Question says, KT from Paris. Salam alaikum Sheikh. Do you have any advice concerning memorizing Arabic vocabulary? Sure. Alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. First and foremost is start off with what you already have. You'd be shocked how many words, vocabulary words you already know. Just look around you. Just stop and think. I'm going to the masjid. It's an Arabic word. I have to put on my khimar. That's a what? Arabic word. I have to make salah. Salah is an Arabic word. Thob is an Arabic word. Halal is a what? Arabic word. Ramadan is a Eid is a Juma is a what? Qalam, kitab. So you'll be shocked how much vocabulary you already have. So you have to consolidate it, put it all together, wrap it up, tie it up. That's one bundle, and then obviously from the streets you move on to the what? The next bundle. You move on to the what? The next 5 or 10 words. So whether you have a teacher, which you should, whether you're in a class online, which you should be, if you're studying or teaching yourself, you just consolidate it, and then you move forward into categories. So right now I'm going to learn the colors, masculine and feminine. That takes you literally one day, if not a couple of hours, to successfully learn all of the colors, primary, secondary. And then another day I'm going to learn fruits, then vegetables, vehicles, truck, car, bicycle, boat, plane. Then another day animals, cat, goat, cow, pig, rat, monkey, so on and so forth. And then another day you learn body parts, aynun, anfun, shafata, وهكذا. And then a month, 2 months, 3 months with practice and with the guidance and the tutelage of a teacher, before you know it, you have what? You have a good vocabulary bank. You learn a little bit of grammar, you learn a little bit of plurals, conjugate, and the next thing you know, you're what? You're rolling. So it's about being sincere, it's about sacrificing, working hard, and being consistent, not starting and stopping, starting and stopping. Arabic is not that difficult to learn. Certain things are challenging, yes, but it's not an impossibility. And if you want it, it's there. And just stop and think about how many people who are less intelligent than you that have learned Arabic. So if they did it, you should be able to do it. Wallahu a'lam. Fadal.
It's a question pertaining to a woman. Sisters wearing that believe that the niqab is obligatory or such and such. How do they go about like having social media or pictures? Should they even be seen? Should they wear niqab, if you will?
Understood.
They give a dars or they give a class.
Understood. Jazakallah khairan. With regards to a woman who covers her face in front of non-mahram men, niqab or burqa or whatever, different countries in the Far East, they wear scarves, right? It's okay, it's all right, leave them, let them be. It's not a fight and keep, khalas. It's all right. So a woman who covers her face in front of non-mahram men, what does she do with regards to social media? So first and foremost is, there's a difference between you passing by a woman and you engaging in the looking at a woman. So for argument's sake, my wife is walking down the street, she wears a niqab. You can see her eyes. Or she doesn't wear a niqab, you can see her face. You happen to see her, you pass by, don't speak, assalamu alaikum, whatever the case may be. We know that's Fulan's wife. Versus, this is Fulan's wife's page. And I'm actively looking. So there's a difference between the two, with or without niqab. She's covering her face, walking past, versus binoculars, looking at her, talk, speak, look into her pictures. So that in itself is a little off. For argument's sake, if a woman does cover her face and she also is active and she has a social media page and people need to see her, or she needs to make eye contact with people, or she doesn't feel that it's a bad thing, her face is covered. There's levels to what? To all things. And there's levels to gender interaction. If you want to go all the way to the top level, then we go there. But you have to go there with what? Everything. Person says, well, I'm in the middle. I wear a kimar. You don't see my hair, that's better than the next level. So it depends on what level you're trying to be on. If you're trying to go for the top level, the top style, you shouldn't have your pictures posted on social media in which men can look at you, even with the niqab on. Make your page private, make your page predominantly for women, etc., etc. Wallahu alam. Fadal. Wa yakum. You got to come closer, Sheikh. I can't hear you.
Is there anything we can take apart from our throat?
To take something from your throat?
No, not throat, and it's not breaking our fast.
Taking it from where?
And other than our throat. Like,
Other than the throat.
other than it.
And what do you mean, like,
Let's say, for example, I took a little tablet
okay,
and I put it under my tongue.
understood.
Something like that.
Understood. So it dissolves, basically. You don't swallow it, basically. Clear. Well, it's not the same as swallowing it 100%. It's a little different. Anything that you swallow, consume, will break your fast. However, if the thing dissolves, what does it do? What does it do? What does it give you? What does it give the body? What does it do for the body? So it depends on the pill. It depends on what it is. Of course, it's safest to stay away from. And many scholars, they hold the view is that which permeates into the gums can also break the fast, like toothpaste. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
To add to his question,
Sorry, I'm listening.
what
Fadal.
is the ruling on IV?
An IV, intravenous, if it's a means of nourishment, giving fluid or salt or saline to the body, it breaks the fast. As far as just getting a needle, with regards to taking blood or a blood test, or even just a type of shot that doesn't give the body nourishment, that's a different story. Wallahu alam. Wa yakum. Fadal ya akhi.
They got a bunch of questions online.
Yorkshire. Fadal.
Initials AR from Brooklyn. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. Can you please explain, is it permissible to pay zakat al-fitr to family and also zakat al-mal?
Question says, is it permissible to give zakat al-fitr to family and zakat al-mal? It's permissible as long as they aren't a direct beneficiary. If you're not directly responsible for taking care of them, then you can give them the zakat al-mal and zakat al-fitr. The best thing to do is to give them sadaqah and nafaqah, even if you don't have to. It's a distant cousin. This person is my brother. He doesn't live under my roof. I'm not responsible for feeding him. But you should give him sadaqah if you can, and give the zakat to someone else. For argument's sake, this person shares blood with me. I'm not responsible for taking care of them. Why give the zakat to a stranger if I can give it to? But that's not the best thing to do. Wallahu alam.
Initials KA from Manchester, United Kingdom. Jazakallah khair, Sheikh. Is the hadith about Tamim al-Dari, may Allah be pleased with him, becoming a Muslim through encountering a beast and the Dajjal authentic?
Next question.
Initials JN from Aarhus, Denmark. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. What is the best advice for putting healthy boundaries to people, especially when people are gaslighting and manipulative?
People only treat you the way that you allow. People treat you the way that you allow them to treat you. It's not always easy in life. However, you set a boundary. And if you set it, you keep that boundary. You don't like it, you got an attitude, that's fine, but it's a boundary. So you got to think about it. A bad experience and encounter once, or them keep doing it 20 times afterwards. Wallahu alam. Fadal.
You could take insulin while fasting, like for sugar diabetes.
No, stay away from that. Stay away from that. And if a person has to do it, then make up the fast, inshallah. Unless it's a continuous sickness in which a person would feed. Wallahu alam.
This is OA from UK, Yorkshire. Sheikh, my question is, initials JG, Vivi, Denmark. Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How long does one deal with persistent OCD and daily negative thought loops?
You got to get counseling. Get counseling, get the Wiswas counseling, inshallah. We'll stop here tonight. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala abdihi wa rasulihi nabiyina wa imamina Muhammad.